Hi, my name is Shulamai Dabirichi, and this video is my mastery project submission for the ALX Virtual Assistant Foundations course. So over the next few minutes, I'll be walking you through my understanding of the virtual assistant program, what I believe makes a strong virtual assistant, my own strengths, my growth areas, and where I see this journey taking me in the future generally. I have learned so far that a virtual assistant is a remote professional who supports businesses, entrepreneurs, or teams using digital tools and the internet. So it would be even more accurate rather to say that a virtual assistant is a trusted partner, somebody that can be trusted with tasks, while the business owner or the entrepreneur focuses on other more important things that only them can do. So, because you see, one important thing about the virtual assistant role is that we need to realize that one person cannot do everything. Some of these job roles require so much attention, but having a virtual assistant around helps a leader to stay organized, to stay focused, and to stay on top of other focused tasks. So, day-to-day activities of a virtual assistant can look like managing emails, scheduling meetings, organizing meetings, communicating between different departments, communicating between leaders and their other members of a team, or communicating between businesses and their customers or their clients. So all of these things could be day-to-day tasks of a virtual assistant. But one thing about virtual assistants is that it is not a fixed kind of role, but the task of a virtual assistant differs according to the company or the individual they are working with. So you also have some kind of specialized virtual assistant roles, which could include managing social media pages, social media handles, or maybe helping with content and website development, and other different stuff like that. So a virtual assistant has to be somebody who is open-minded, because you could find yourself in any industry having or with any person and having to do so many things. So you see, the virtual assistant role exists because nobody can do everything on their own, and we all just need help. A business owner who decides to do everything will just end up draining themselves faster. And this is the importance of the virtual assistant role. So moving on to what makes a strong virtual assistant. So one thing I noticed is that virtual assistants, despite how diverse the role can be, a virtual assistant as a person needs to have certain kind of mindset or certain kind of skills to help them really, really succeed in this role. And one of the things that a virtual assistant needs to have is to be very reliable. It doesn't make sense if your client cannot trust you with tasks. A virtual assistant has to be somebody who is reliable, has to be somebody that can be trusted with tasks. They can be given tasks and be trusted to deliver properly and to also deliver on time. So another thing is that a virtual assistant needs to be somebody who is proactive. Proactiveness means that you can think ahead. You're not just somebody who's waiting to be told everything. A virtual assistant has to be able to look around and know that, oh, we need this, we need this, we need that. Maybe we should step ahead. Maybe before your client reaches out to you to say, oh, let's do this or let's do that, you could also reach out to them first, maybe propose a better way of doing certain things. So that is the proactiveness that a virtual assistant needs to have. Another thing a virtual assistant needs to have is adaptability. Like I mentioned, the virtual assistant's role is so diverse. It's so diverse. And this means that a virtual assistant needs to be open-minded and remain able to, to deliver according to the roles that they are given. So now moving on to personal strengths, which is basically shifting the focus to myself. I want to talk about some of the strengths that I already have that I feel would make me succeed so much in this virtual assistant role. So one of these strengths is my attention to detail. So as an anatomy graduate, I don't know, but I learned how to pay so much attention to detail, and so far so good. It's something that people around me have always complimented me on. They always ask how I'm able to spot things that nobody else even thinks to spot. And I feel it's a very important skill that could help me in my VA career, being able to spot certain errors before they can grow into large problems, or being able to spot little things that others would naturally overlook, or some persons rather would overlook. I think it's a very, very good skill. Another skill I have is communication. My ability to communicate effectively, whether it's written communication, oral communication, I am able to communicate. I'm able to know who I'm speaking with, what am I talking to them about, how do I break this information down, what is the best way to pass this information across to these persons. And also the last thing I would like to talk about is something I would like to call a gap filling instinct. So one thing I notice myself doing a lot is when I come into a new place, I try to observe. I try to what do these people already have? How are they communicating with each other? And then I naturally just try to fill in the gap. I try to see how do I come in to make whatever teamwork they already have feel more seamless, feel easier. So it's something I do. I observe an environment first before I now start inserting myself into this environment to know how do we speed up the production, or rather how do we increase productivity within this environment. And I believe it's such a good thing to have as a virtual assistant, being able to observe whatever client or company or organization you're working with, and to know how to properly serve them. Also, to talk about growth areas, these are areas that I still need to work on, or rather that I am currently working on. The first part of this is confidence. I noticed so much that I tend to second guess myself. I tend to second guess my skills. I am currently learning to trust myself, to trust that I have the abilities and I have the skills, and to also let these skills and abilities speak for themselves in situations that are necessary. The second one is to follow through under pressure. So I'm somebody who sometimes when I start a project, I have this excitement, I have this morale, I have this boost. But over time, when that initial excitement starts to dwindle, or maybe there's pressure coming in into the work, I start to want to draw back from the situation. And I'm starting to learn that I need to build structures, I need to build routines that keep me motivated, even when that keep me accountable rather, even when the motivation isn't all that high. So, and the last thing is time management. I need to learn how to manage my time better so that I don't end up with deadlines that start to choke me and then throw me off balance, because it would ruin the beauty of my work, right? So, and me listing these things is not because I am trying to give excuses. No, it's because I know that I need to work on these things, and it is something. These are things I am currently working on, because I know that working on them will make me a much better assistant. And also, knowing these things also pushes me forward as a self-aware virtual assistant. And honestly, a self-aware virtual assistant is way more better than somebody who forges ahead pretending to have it all or to know it all, even when they don't. Okay, talking about personal growth, mindset, and grit. You see, one thing I learned during this course is that as a virtual assistant, you need to have a growth mindset. Now, what does a growth mindset do? A growth mindset tells you that your abilities are not fixed, and that you as a person, you're not fixed. Your abilities grow the more you grow, the more you persevere, the more you learn, the more you read books, read courses. As you grow, your abilities grow with you. It's not fixed. So having a growth mindset means having this mindset that there's always a way. Because as a virtual assistant, you would definitely come across tools you've never used before. You would meet clients with working styles that are so different from what you're used to. You would meet customers that would require different communication patterns or something. You just end up with tasks that you're not so comfortable with. But having this kind of mindset that even when you get to that point, you would figure things out is such a very good thing as a virtual assistant, because it just puts you ahead of others, knowing fully well that you can do so much. It doesn't keep you fixed in a box. So something else I learned so much was grit. Grit is the ability to stay open to learning even when it's not feeling so excited. And I think it just speaks so much into my previous flaw about following through under pressure. It just goes to show that I need to work on my grit. I need to work on my grit. And I think I'm doing really well with it, because I'm somebody who doesn't like appearing on videos or appearing on camera, but here I am. I mean, I persevered, I wrote the script, prepared it all, and I am right here talking to you. So I think so far I'm doing well when it comes to personal growth and grit, and having this mindset thing. And finally, to talk about my virtual assistant journey ahead. So, this virtual assistant role, something I look forward to so much, is how it's going to give me the opportunity to develop real practical skills, and like learning to manage complex workflows, work with professional tools, and be somebody a client can rely on. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to getting hands-on experience, real world experience with all of the things I'm learning right now. I really look forward to the practical applications in real life. The challenge I anticipate for myself is keeping up the momentum, being this excited even up until the end of the journey, and while I, push my career ahead. The kind of VA I want to be at the end of this is someone who is deeply reliable, someone who operates with precision, with passion, and who brings real value to whatever client or team that she's working with. And beyond this program, this virtual assistant role is a deliberate step I'm taking into my tech career. It is like a foundation to everything that I am hoping for in the future. And I'm really glad that I chose this role. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Shula Berichi, and I am committed to this journey. Thank you.